Hey folks, Aaron Jones here, broker owner at Remax Lakes Realty at beautiful Lake Okoboji. We have a gorgeous day today. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I'm going to take you all for a tour of all of West Lake. We're going to cruise around almost the entire shoreline of West Lake, with the goal in mind of teaching you about the lake and teaching you about why real estate in different locations is worth this and why it's worth that, because there's so many variables that we have to take into consideration when we do valuations. Obviously, we're always looking at comps, but you just can't take five West Lake comps and combine them all together. That's not how it works. It's so the most important variable is location, right? And you got so many variables. Do you want to see sunrises? Do you want to see sunsets? Do you want to be close to the action? Do you want to be on the other side of the lake? Do you want to be up in the North Bay where it's maybe a little bit quieter than the rest of the lake? A lot of other variables. Your approach type. Do you have beach, or do you have 70 steps down to the dock? Do you have a trolley or not? Again, so many different variables that we have to take into consideration. How deep is the lot? Do you have any depth at all? Is it 300 feet deep, like some of the properties up in Haywards Bay and out by Manhattan Beach, things like that? So we have to take all of that into consideration. So I always tell my clients that, pricing lake property, not just West Lake, East Lake, Okoboji, Minnewash to Upper Gar, Lower Gar, Big Spirit, it's more of an art than a science. An appraiser's job is to try to keep that valuation to as much science as possible. But when you have to take all of these different variables into consideration, you better believe that you better hire an expert to list your property. I've been a leading real estate agent in Okoboji for years. Born and raised here. I know the lake, and I'm comfortable giving you the advice and giving you the information, so you have a better understanding of where you may want to live on West Lake and why, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera, and we're going to start right here where East meets West, and we'll show you where we're at. Okay, so here we are. We're East meets West. We got the Okoboji store over there, the Ritz across the street. We're here at Water's Edge, and then of course everybody knows about the Dry Dock condos, where the Dry Dock resort or Four Seasons resort and the Dry Dock restaurant were tore down just a few years ago for the condos. And us in the real estate business, do consider that progress, and we'll see a lot of that, and we're going to continue to see that. So it's granted, there's people that have lived here a long time, people that have been visiting a long time that wish those types of things didn't happen. But this is the nature of the beast wherever you are. If you have valuable real estate like we do here on West Lake Okoboji and East Lake Okoboji and all of the Iowa Great Lakes, all you're going to do is continue to see that type of development, and you accept that change, and you appreciate the fact that we still have just an absolutely incredible place to live here at Lake Okoboji. So as I look at this day, hardly any boats on the lake, just hardly any waves. I apologize if the sound isn't that great, but we're going to be driving into the wind at probably 12, 13 mile an hour. We got to get around this all of this lakefront, and it's a lot. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So people know that the Dry Dock, those condos been selling for anywhere from like 1.2 million, I think, is an entry level, which will get you a condo on the highway side, all the way up to 3.7 million for the for the penthouse suites and things like that. So, and then just past the Dry Dock, we have some Fillenworth properties there, and then sprinkled in are some some private single family, and then you got Park Place townhomes right there, and then some more single family. The thing that you know about this part of Smith's Bay, or that you'll need to know about this part of Smith's Bay, is that there isn't much depth here, right? So the values are going to go down a little bit because you don't have much depth between the road and the lake. And most of the lots here, if not all of them, I think are 40 foot, at least for the single family. So we price, most people know this, but the most important variable in our pricing equation of lake property, whether it's West Lake or East Lake, is the amount of linear lake shore that you have. Do you have a 50 foot lot? Do you have a 40 foot lot? Do you have a 75 foot lot, a 100 foot lot, whatever it might be? That's the most important thing that we're going to talk about. But you can see they've built some beautiful homes in here just in the last few years, and there's one right over here I think sold for $3 million, and it was on a 40-foot lot. It was just a great house, but that was kind of during the boom, and also this is a fantastic location. You're by everything, so even though these lots are only 40 feet, it's all about the location. Really no maintenance because there's no depth to these lots, and so it's all about being close to the park, being close to the bars, being close to the restaurants, just being close to everything. So then we have Phil and Worth's Beach Resort here. They've been here for an eternity, and I don't see them going anywhere anytime soon. Then you got these West Oaks condos, and I think those have been here since the early 80s. And then next to that is the Central Emporium, recently purchased and upgraded by Michael Jensen, a respected competitor of ours. Has done a great job with the Emporium. We actually have an office in there that we're super excited about. If you haven't seen the upgrades to the Emporium, you got to get up here and see it. They're really, really good. Spending some money on that bad boy. And so then we have some single-family homes here between the Emporium and then the amusement park, which is right over there. Again, not a ton of depth to these properties. But you see this one with the boathouse right there. That one recently sold and they tore it down. Somebody's going to build a big, beautiful house. There's actually a big lot up there, up just across the little frontage road that I think everybody shares some ownership in or something like that. I'm surprised they haven't put in a pool or something along those lines, but to each their own. But this is a great place to be. Higher traffic, right? But for the last however many years, I'm not exactly sure when they started doing fireworks every Saturday, but the thing that you gotta love about being here in Smiths Bay is that you get fireworks every Saturday night. Sometimes on Friday night, we're able to get some of the biggest, some big name bands that come to the park, and sometimes they'll do fireworks after those shows, even if it's not a Saturday night. And so you see our just big, beautiful stage, the stage at Thrones Park with the green space, and then just all of the things that they've done at the park. There's been so many people willing to give money to make this just an incredible place to visit. The amount of people here this summer was crazy, and we went to the park a few times as well. So many people just enjoying life, enjoying themselves, and that's one thing about Okoboji, right? Is that you just have people that want to have a good time, and they want to be nice to each other. You have fun neighbors, and everybody you talk to is here for the fun. If you're grumpy in Okoboji, there's a real problem. So anyway, so you got this beach. Interestingly enough, I would say back in 2011, 2012, I helped start the volleyball league down here. So we cleaned up the beach, brought in a whole bunch of sand, created three new volleyball courts, and I've since given that up. But that's a great area to bring the kids, take them to the beach, play volleyball, whatever. Then you got Pirate Jack's here. I like to call it the Margaritaville of Okoboji because I think they got the best margaritas in town, and there will be a few people that will disagree with you on that. So then you got the Queen 2, and I think that the Queen 2 is still going. I'm not sure exactly how late they go, but awesome. Rory Mara, buddy of mine, he drives that thing among other people. But back to the real estate, guys. So right next to the amusement park, between Pillsbury Point and the amusement park, the first few sets of homes, they actually own their lakeshore, right? And so another great spot. Still high traffic, fairly decent depth, but they own their lakeshore, and so the values of those properties are going to be higher than, say, right here, which is Pillsbury Point. So not exactly sure of the start point here for the Pillsbury Point, but they're in a dock management system. Okay. So what that means, what you're going to see is on all these docks, you're going to have 2 boat hoists. And so that means even if you own a house that's on the lake here, you don't own your lakeshore. And so it was a little bit surprising to me to see some of the sales on Pillsbury Point be so high. But again, that had a lot to do, I think, with just the surge in values. and I think that we have a couple listed. We don't. Remax doesn't have listings, but there's a couple listings on the MLS on Pillsbury Point. And again, all a person has to understand is that the reason that those values on Pillsbury Point will be a little bit lower typically than others is that you simply don't own the lakeshore. You're not guaranteed this. You're not guaranteed where your dock is going to be. Okay, and then you share your dock with a neighbor. And for most people, that's not a big deal. Again, I've never heard of a problem when people are sharing docks. They share the cost of putting them in and out. And sorry, we got to go out here a ways because these rocks from Pillsbury Point come all the way out to this buoy. So it's and those are some big boulders. It's super fun to come out here once the ice breaks and you have those crystal clear days in March and April. And we'll get some here this fall as well. And just to come out here in the morning where there's not a wave and look at all the rocks from Pillsbury Point to Fort Dodge Point, pretty cool. So now we're still coming around Pillsbury Point. Okay, we're gonna speed her up just a tinge. And so again, these homes here are still in the dock management program. And you kind of tell where it ends, where the dock sharing stops, right? And so we would consider this area Sunset Beach, a very, very popular place to live because it's super close to the amusement park. We're actually going to be building here. We're going to raise our family here because we want to be able to take the stroller and take the kids down the sidewalk to the amusement park, come down and watch fireworks, and you just get some of the most gorgeous sunsets in Okoboji, which is why it's called Sunset Beach. Okay, so you're going to see some beautiful homes along here, and the bank is kind of mid, not too high, but not zero entry along here. So not too bad at all. And you might see some trolleys along here, even if they only might be 25-30 feet. And trolleys, if you have any height to your bank at all, a trolley is a real good investment for most owners because you want to make sure that everybody can get to the dock and everybody has access to the boat so they can get out and enjoy a beautiful Lake Okoboji. So values here, right? Sunset Beach, typically pretty high. So I might talk in terms of some numbers using some specifics, but mostly I'll talk in terms of low, medium, and high, okay? And Sunset Beach is definitely gonna be that medium to high, again, just because of location. You're close to everything, and it's kind of private back in here. A lot of smaller roads. There's not a lot of traffic in and out of here, and so just a very desirable area and desirable place to live. We'll just take a little break and kind of enjoy this, but you'll see we come up on Lincoln Park. Lincoln Park is an association that owns I think like 56 feet of lakeshore, where the homes off of the lake, not all of them, but some of them will have access to the lake, and so you'll see that set of hoists right there that give those folks the access. Okay, you can kind of see that right there. So just a number of homes, just nice wooded area. It's not going to be too long, and the leaves are going to start turning, and it's going to be absolutely gorgeous to take some of those boat rides. You'll see so many colors. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And so then we're kind of coming up on Gillies Beach here. Same kind of the same pricing. Sunset Beach is going to be a little bit closer to the park, so you might see some little bit higher values there. But a lot of Gillies Beach would be on First Street in West Okoboji. I actually have a listing right here on 90 feet of lakeshore. I'm going to kind of cut in there a little bit. And that house right there has 90 feet And then lakeside, it's got a concrete patio, has a boathouse, just all the things that you can't do anymore that a person's going to get. And that thing's aggressively priced at that's priced at $3.2 million. Very functional house, but it's all about the lakeshore. You can kind of see my sign up there. They didn't put the dock out, which is fine, but look at all that lakeshore, 90 feet. So if one lot is 45 feet, you're literally getting almost 2 lots here. So again, just an amazing, amazing location. And so as you get along into Gillies Beach here, you're going to see some super high banks, okay? And so you might see just a little bit of a decrease in value there. Got a lot that's for sale here. Nothing's built on it. I think that's 60 feet on the lake. And then again, you can see some of these higher banks, and you're going to see some trolleys. Beautiful home there. I think that home sold for somewhere around $5 million, maybe a little bit over. Got to get out past the buoys. And there's a bank that had a collapse last year, and you know, the market has slowed since last year. It was an explosion kind of during and after COVID, and prices went crazy. $20,000 a foot was now $40,000 a foot, and now we're definitely seeing some retraction. And this year slowed up, and I call it the flood hangover. That flood really slowed things down in June. I think it was June of 2024. Real estate was really on a roll, but you know, we'll see just a little bit of retraction. You know, so you get around Gillies Beach here, and then we're coming into Browns Bay. Got Terrace Park up there, and so still good values here. Browns Bay is one of the more desirable locations. See some beautiful homes. Again, just mature trees, mature lakeshore, and again, just a great place to be. You'll see more and more people come into Browns Bay if the wind is out of the south. Very similar to Miller's Bay, but you'll see a number of tie-ups, a lot of families in Browns Bay, just enjoying the lake when the wind is out of the south, because then you're not getting those big waves and all of that you'd get if you were elsewhere. Okay. Yeah, we see some trees starting to turn. So, and again, your lake values in Browns Bay, they're going to stay up there a little bit. There's a really good value on the market for a long time on 75 feet. And again, but it was after the flood, and it was very hard for things to sell. So somebody got a really good deal on that. But then, you know, we come up to the water pump house, and so we're not going to go all the way around into the beach. But again, Browns Bay, very, very nice place to live. There's some private streets back in here, just some gorgeous homes, and again, you know, mid to higher level of home values. Again, and there's so many, like I said, there's so many different variables that go into it, but a lot to like here. And so you have Boys Town, which is out of Omaha, which has been here ever since I've been alive. That's right next to Terrace Park. It's a great organization. Allows kids to come, you know, get kind of, I suppose, similar to Camp Foster. Allows kids to come up and enjoy Lake Okoboji. Kids that wouldn't typically get the opportunity. So we're just going to zoom over here, get ourselves a little closer to Pocahontas Point. And what they've done at Terrace Park, they've improved that park. It's just amazing. So many things around the lake and in Okoboji, in Arnold's Park, have been restored and redone. And the philanthropy around here is just absolutely amazing. And like I said, we couldn't be luckier. To live here. So now getting over to the stretch on, you know, Okoboji Boulevard and West Okoboji, another great area. you go along this strip, whether it's between here, Pocahontas Point, around to Jones Beach, and just a lot of nice homes, nice low approaches, and so that's what's going to increase the value here as well. You know, so we're definitely going to see a ton of demand for this location. Not as close to the park and things like that, but this allows people to get away just a little bit more, a little further from the action. Let's take a look. Yeah, so I'm just trying to video this again to give everybody an idea of, you know, what these approaches are going to look like coming onto your dock. You see, just beautiful low approach. I mean, which makes sense because we're real close to the Terrace Park Beach there, and you just don't have those high elevations. All right. Okay. Oh, I didn't even mention my dog was in this video. It's just a man, his boat, and his dog today, and his camera phone. Kaya, say hi. Say hi. Well, she'll say hi if she sees birds and whatnot, I tell you that. Okay, so again, mid to high range of home values. Not super deep, but adequate depth lots along here. You're going to see a lot of nice homes. And so we're basically facing, the homes are basically facing east, you know, so they're going to get, along this area, they're going to get the sunsets, or excuse me, the sunrises. And this is just typically a calmer part of the lake. Pocahontas Point is going to come out there and kind of protect these docks a little bit, okay? Whereas that's another thing to think about. So over where we just were, Sunset Beach, you know, those areas can kind of get hit with that big northwesterly winds that we'll get. So that's suboptimal, but still doesn't. It doesn't really affect the valuations, but it's still something to consider, right? Most of the area related, like where do I want to live, will have to do with, how's the lake depth? Is it super shallow? Is it weedy? Is it deep? Do we have good depth coming off the end of the dock? Is it going to be 5 feet at the end of my dock? Or is it going to be 10 feet at the end of my dock? Can I swim there, or is it not ideal for the kids to swim there? Those types of things. So, you know, like I said, we just take all of that into consideration. There's just some absolute stunner homes here on Pocahontas Point, and then coming around into Jones Beach, and you know, Jones Beach. You know, so we're coming into Emerson Bay, okay. But Jones Beach is going to have you facing, you know, northwest a little bit. But when I say beach, I mean it. There's going to be a number of properties up here. Got some bees out today. They like to hang around and land on my arms and whatnot. So you might hear me blowing them off a little bit. But yeah, look at that beautiful house. I love the fact I'm seeing so many boats still in the hoist. No, a lot of people, they're not giving up on Okoboji quite yet, right? Yeah, so in this area you're going to see some beautiful yards, just fewer trees, a little bit, you know, not as much tree coverage, but still, you know, certainly protected, you know, from that wind out of the south. But you get these winds out of the north and out of the northwest, and they're going to hit you here, right? Definitely see some new construction. I think there's 1 or 2 homes on the market over here. But you come along here, and it's just everything's always so green and well manicured. Getting into Jones Beach a little bit, and you see we're kind of reducing the elevation little by little. Now, not a ton of depth to these homes either. I don't know the exact distance, but I'm guessing 120 feet of depth. I could be wrong. Somebody probably laugh at me and tell me I'm an idiot, but not a ton of depth here. Another beautiful, beautiful home. But you can see, like, this is super awesome for kind of having that, once we get down here, kind of having that zero entry. You walk right out your patio doors, and maybe you have a step, maybe. And so again, mid to high values here. Most everything we've looked at has been, super desirable, right? Haven't really gotten areas of poor water quality. The only things that we've seen is really a lack of depth to some lots, and maybe some high banks, and then of course the dock management program, which is suboptimal. But it's not the end of the world. I mean, you can be in dock management programs and have unbelievable views of the lake, and isn't that what it's about? Waking up, going having some coffee, and just taking in the serenity and the tranquility of Lake Okoboji, right? So look at, I love these approaches. There was a house, the very last house on Jones Beach down here, and I'm gonna say, geez, I think it was just before COVID. That thing was on the market. It was 75 feet, nice low approach. Now the thing was, it was the Emerson Bay campground was directly across from it, and so you had some concerns about noise and things like that. But I think that thing sold for under $1 million for 75 feet. That's amazing. That does not happen anymore, and not even close. So if you bought before COVID, you did good, right? Now, if you bought in 2022, 23, 24, and have had to put your house back on the market now, you're going to see some struggles, and that's unfortunate. But we've had some issues. We've had some. I typically try to tell people, Okoboji historically has been shielded from the macroeconomics going on. We've always been. Lake property has typically been shielded from interest rates. Typically been shielded from politics and the macroeconomics and tariffs and the economy and just all of those things. Grain prices, farm prices, just all of it. Since I've been here, since I've watched the market, I've never seen Okoboji affected by that. This might be the first time in my life and in my career that we're seeing lake property be affected by the macroeconomics, by some of the uncertainty of the economy, the tariffs, obviously interest rates. But as we make this video today, interest rates are headed in a good positive direction. The Fed just lowered the rate 0.25 basis points. That doesn't necessarily correlate to lower interest rates, for real estate, but it doesn't hurt. And we do typically see some of that correlation, but it's not necessarily directly affected. Regardless of that, point is, interest rates are heading in a great direction. Now, so we're coming into Little Emerson, okay? And we're not going to go all the way in there, but Little Emerson is still a great spot. Anywhere on the lake is a great spot, right? But in Little Emerson, it's going to be a little bit more shallow, a little bit more weedy, and you're going to see values drop, okay? And they typically drop substantially. And so, if we're on a low, medium to high, this is going to be a little bit low, and it's typically because of the weeds, and it's just a little tight in here. But still, in today's market, I see that as value. If you can still get a home on the lake, save some money, get your boat in and out, swim, enjoy Okoboji, come buy something in Little Emerson for a little less money, and and enjoy the lake. You know, I love the fact that we're able to that you don't have to spend an arm and a leg at every single location on West Okoboji to be on the lake and enjoy the same amenities and the same beaches and the same water quality as somebody spending 40,000 a foot, right? You might be closer to, you know, 20,000 a foot, or maybe even a little less in Little Emerson, and that's okay. That is okay, right? Okay. So we're coming into Crescent Beach now. Another desirable area. Values again will be a little bit less here, and that's just proven by data, proven by comps. And I happen to like this area because you got behind a number of these houses that are coming up, you have Turtle Lake, which is, you kind of have access to West Lake for all of your big boat excursions and things like that. And then you can go right across the road in Turtle Lake and get a fishing boat out there, get a canoe, do some pan fishing, do some bass fishing. So I happen to like that, but for whatever reason, home values, you know, just haven't held up here next to Crescent Beach as much as they have in some other locations. I love the Crescent Beach area. Just, you know, the Wahpeton canals in general. I love it because the canals give you a crazy opportunity, an economical opportunity to be on the lake. As long as you have a boat that can fit under the bridge, you can live back in the canals and still get access to West Lake for anywhere from, you know, 400,000 to 600,000, and still be able to go boat on West Lake. It's amazing. And so I love it when there's opportunity for those types of values. So yeah, so this is the area that we're talking about. So obviously, you know, we're out basically out, you know, now we're going around the lake on Highway 86, and everybody knows the Crescent Beach sign. So you pull in there, and then you come around, and this is where we're located on the lake. There's an absolute stunner of a house that's been on the market for a bit. They kind of got dinged by the by the flood hangover as well. I think it was, you know, originally somewhere in the lower 5 millions, like 127 feet of lakeshore, something like that. That is not our listing. I believe it's listed by Peggy Berg. Brand new construction. There's some steals in the market today. And that is definitely one of them. In fact, I'm just going to go up here a little bit closer. In fact, see, Kaya's all over. She's like, Dad, look at that good deal. She's like, let's move. We'll just zoom in. But right there, that thing, if you haven't had a chance to tour that and you're looking for a beautiful property on the lake and you have the means to do so, that's a great house. It's a great house. So another thing I really like, and check this out, again, this low approach. You know, granted, during the flood, the low approach isn't, you know, low approach can be an issue, right? But 99% of the time, you know, if you're not getting that 10,000 year flood, I just absolutely love that low approach. And then you come up on Eagle Point here, and then you'll get some classic cottages and some updated homes. But I love seeing the classic cottages around the lake. Heck, I talked to a guy the other day. They have they're on Lakeshore Drive in Okoboji. They got 130 feet, and they have more money than they know what to do with, and they haven't touched their cottage because it's been in the family for 100 years, and that's just how they like it. Like, they want to come to Okoboji, and they don't need to build a $3 million house. They like the cottage to feel the way that their grandparents felt it, their great-grandparents felt it, and I think that that's super cool. That's not me. Like, I like living in new homes and things like that. But if you're a visitor and you're like, hey, let's go to the cottage this weekend. You know, I could see it being similar to, you know, going up to Minnesota. You know, let's go to the cabin. let's go to the fishing cabin for the weekend. I could imagine that a person would, you know, have knotty pine walls and not change a thing if that's what you're doing. Because if you feel like you want to get away to a certain lifestyle, I appreciate that and respect the heck out of it. So we're gonna go ahead and go around this boat here, so it takes so long. But yeah, so we're Eagle Point. We're gonna be coming up on Gull Point, Arrowhead Beach, things like that. But this area here, just before Gull Point, some outstanding houses. And to be honest with you, I don't know the last time we saw something come up for sale in Spencer Beach here. And I just might have bad memory, which my wife will tell you is correct. But it's just another great area. Actually, you know what? Yeah, there was a home, and that had a lot of linear footage too, and that sold here a couple years ago. So I mean, not super recent. But when you get over closer to Gull Point, you're gonna see sand beaches, which is awesome. I think that anybody that lives on the lake, I feel like their first option would be, can I have a sand beach? I feel like there's so much value in that. And when I see properties sit on the market that have sand beach, I'm just super surprised. So you'll see that bridge there. Okay, so that's going to go in the Turtle Lake. So the folks that live on Turtle Lake have access to West Lake. It's amazing. And it's awesome. I see a few more hoists gone over here. That's okay, but again, see some beautiful houses, beautiful approaches. And I would say high values out here. And again, the thing that I like about this particular location on this side of Gull Point is the protection from those big northwest winds. I've lived on a number of places on the lake, and I just do not like the big northwest winds in the winter because we're year-rounders. And so you get some of those big storms, big blizzards, and that northwest wind pounds you. It's suboptimal for sure. So, and again, so much of this is personal preference, but that's our preference, and not that necessarily affects valuations, but I think that it does just a little bit, especially when we talk about it, because I love talking through, like when we go and look at a lake property, and like I love looking at 3, 4, 5 lake properties in one day, and I want them spread out because I want to talk about all the things, right? I want to find out from my buyers what is important to them. What are they looking for? What are they looking to spend? And that's the key. You gotta use an agent that's gonna understand what your goals are, right? Because you're not buying a West Lake property and holding on to it for a year and selling it. Like this is something typically that you're buying, hopefully generationally, right? Like you've come into some money, you've worked hard for your money, whatever it might be, and again, it doesn't have to be on West Lake. You can be on Lower Gar, Minnewash, Upper Gar, East Lake, Big Spirit, doesn't matter. But you want something, like I think most people's ultimate goal is, I want something for the kids, I want something for the grandkids, I want a reason for my kids and grandkids to come together. Like that's what Okoboji is all about, and that's always super awesome to see as well. So we're coming around Gull Point. It's interesting because years ago, before people flocked to Miller's Bay, and even during some of the times that people flocked to Miller's Bay, Gull Point was like where people hung out. You came and you beached your boats and you waded around up to your thighs in the water. You got the coolers out. you're lounging around with the life jackets around your legs, got jacuzzis and your beer, and people just party. And it wasn't like crazy spring break partying. It was just people having a good time. And we're talking families, again, kids and families and all that stuff. It's not like it's just bachelor parties and bachelorette parties up here all the time, even though that's extremely popular. I mean, this is about families getting together, multiple families getting together. I love that. Especially like at Bridges Bay. You're going to see 2, 3, 4 different families all coming up and like, hey, this is our getaway at Lake Okoboji, and just having the times of their lives. And whether it's on the lake or in the pools at Bridges Bay, this is where you bring people and families together. So again, Go Point State Park here. This is DNR headquarters coming up. And so we got the beach on this side as well, where again people would just beach their boats, get out and party. So if the wind was out of the north, you went to the other side of the point. If the wind was out of the south, you came to this side of the point. And that's just what you did. So I think this is the other super cool thing about Lake Okoboji, and just the Iowa Great Lakes in general, right? Just all the conservation areas that we have, all the state parks, all the city parks for that matter. I mean, there's so many places of public property for people to use and utilize and enjoy. It's awesome. Yeah, it's just awesome. So we're coming up here on Arrowhead Beach. Then we got Hiawatha Point coming up here. And again, a number of beautiful homes up this way. You don't see these come on the market very often. Got some townhomes that we're facing right there. And again, back in here, you just don't get a lot of traffic. You don't get a lot of lake traffic, and you don't get a lot of car traffic. But look at these homes. Yeah, it's just a stunner, right? It's beautiful. Number of church camps around the lake. Again, love the opportunity for all the kids to be able to come up that either normally can't afford it or just can't get here, whatever it might be. I don't know all the circumstances, but there's just a lot of good that happens here, and it's awesome to be a part of it for sure. Again, I love seeing the hoists and boats still in. But here, you get some low approaches, but then you have an approach that's 30 feet up in the air, so a little all over the map. So we come around Hiawatha here. And we're entering the infamous Miller's Bay. Miller's Bay isn't as infamous as Little Miller's Bay, but still infamous nonetheless. No one can come to Okoboji and not know or hear about Miller's Bay and the Miller's Bay tie-ups. And there's going to be a faction of folks that don't like it, and I get it, but it is what it is. I'm just not sure what can be done about it. But for those who may not have partaken, Little Miller's Bay, once you get inside the buoys, it's just a place where everybody goes to tie up on the weekends, and you'll see 20, 30, 40 boat tie-ups, and people are here to have a good time. Now, are there times where it gets a little bit out of control, a little bit noisy, a little bit disrespectful? There are, and that's unfortunate too. But here, again, on Hiawatha, just beautiful homes, beautiful approaches, high value. Just gorgeous. There have been some homes that have been around here for 20, 30 years that were ahead of their time from a design standpoint, and just absolutely beautiful. So again, in the larger part of Miller's Bay, okay, and we're not going to go all the way in here because we're going to try to just save a little bit of time. But the larger part of Miller's Bay, fine. You know, there's jet skiing and there's you know, wakeboarding and all kinds of action out in the bigger part of Miller's Bay, and that's okay. That's not uncommon. That's not a big deal. So, you know, the values here in the bigger part of Miller's Bay are going to be you know, medium, okay, and that's just because it is higher boat traffic. It's unquestionable that the traffic going in and out of Little Miller's is higher, and that's typically going to affect the values of the larger part of Miller's Bay. But once you get into, and we'll try to zoom in a little bit, once you get into Little Miller's, you know, there's going to be a number of homes there that are just going to struggle a little bit, because most people, you know, have made the decision that that's just not where they want to live. They don't want to have to listen to somebody else's music and things like that, and that's just the reality of it. I don't like it. I don't like anybody's home values going down, especially if they've owned there for a long time. But even if they've owned there for a long time, they're still on the right side of appreciation, just not as much as other properties and other homeowners have gotten to enjoy. We got the Lakeside Lab and all kinds of state land back here, and so you're not going to see hardly any residential. Well, you won't see any residential development back in here. Have always been fond of the bald eagles and all the waterfowl and things back in here. Excellent fishing. The fishing in Miller's Bay and Little Miller's Bay is awesome. So we're going to zoom out just a little bit. Okay, so now we're up towards the yacht club, right? Love the yacht club. Love seeing the sailboat races on the weekends and seeing all the kids learning how to sail sailboats. You know, all of the teaching going on. The yacht club is a great place, and it's been around here for years. I personally didn't get the opportunity to experience it, but I have friends that did, and it changed your life. You know, it's life changing. Whether you live here or just visit here, there's so many kids that went through the yacht club, learned how to sail, and they made so many lasting memories and friendships in Okoboji. So again, nice low approach down here. I haven't seen a home down here come on the market for a while, but I would give these medium to high values. Okay, just love the approach. Kai, say hi. Love it. I'm having a good time. This is, I didn't know if my arms would be able to hold this phone this long. I'm really, really old school. I don't have cool equipment, things like that at this point. But that's not what this is about. It's just about, you know, seeing the lake, learning, trying to have an understanding of where properties might be valued at, all of that good stuff. You know, so we're really coming up kind of on south, you know, I call it all Manhattan Beach, but, you know, some people would designate it South Manhattan Beach and North Manhattan Beach, but very desirable area. Beautiful, beautiful sunsets. You know, there's some homes up here with, you know, not as much depth as others, but a lot of the lots, a lot of the properties up here are going to have really, really nice depth. But typically, along most of this stretch, you're going to have some pretty high banks. You'll just see right here, like I would consider those a 3/4 bank, maybe a half to 3/4 high bank. Where I live personally, we have 73 steps to the lake. So, but we have a trolley, and so it's not a big deal. Would I prefer the sand beach? You're darn right I would. But I don't mind the steps. Excuse me, I do mind the steps. I don't mind walking down the steps. I'm not walking up steps. I can't breathe. It's just it's too much. So I have got to use the trolley going up. And I'm 49 years old and I work out every day. So if that tells you anything about needing a trolley when you own property with any amount of steps, that's your first hint. So we go from this half, I call this half to 3/4 high bank, and then we go right up the hill. You can see, whoop, okay? And so now we get into some high banks for a while. And unfortunately, some of these banks coming up, took on the floods, excuse me, and the banks went in the lake. So a lot of lakeshore remediation up here, but there are some beautiful homes. I mean, look at that, just gorgeous homes. So I mean, there's going to be $3, $4, $5 million homes along this stretch. In fact, there was a home up here on 75 feet, sold for $3.2 million. They tore it down. So here's actually a lot that I'm going to be listing. 100 feet, redid the boathouse. The bank's been redone. New steps. They just installed that trolley, I think today actually. And that's going to be coming on the market, so that's great. But you can see all of these banks had to be redone. And in fact, the city of Wahpeton allowed this homeowner, this is the lot where it was bought for 75 feet, $3.2 million. And they're allowing all of this construction on the lakeshore to happen. So that's amazing to me. I wouldn't have anticipated that. It'd be interesting to get the backstory on that. There's another amazing property right here. Gosh, I don't know how many, it might be 180 feet or something like that. You can see all the boat hoists. So yeah, there's some generational properties in this area. I mean, look at that. I don't know how many feet lakeshore there. 200 maybe? And I'm hesitant to name names. There's a number of well-known owners, and so I do my best to try not to call out any of these properties by name, just out of respect. We're coming up here on Manhattan Beach, and so there's this little cove around the point here, and so it gets a little bit tight in there. Values might go down just a little bit, but I'd say they're still, because of their location, they're beautiful sunsets, and there's some really nice houses in there, boat houses. They're still at a medium in there, for sure. But I love Manhattan Beach. Beautiful area. You gotta make sure to, whether it's Gull Point or Manhattan Beach here, you got to make sure to stay out, because those rocks get pretty shallow. Again, you got Eagle Point, Manhattan Beach, Fort Dodge Point, Pillsbury Point, Pikes Point. You got to be careful when you're driving around the lake. Do not drive on the lake for your first time or your first 10 times at night. Get out here during the day, understand the lake, know where the buoys are, know where the points are, because you're going to tear off your lower unit if you don't. It's just going to happen. I talked to some people that live over at Pillsbury Point, and they just say they just sit outside at night and just listen to the people argue. And of course, the arguing comes after they heard the prop try to chop the rocks in half, and then the lower unit goes. And then the arguments ensue, right? So don't be the person in those arguments. So trying to do a tour around the lake, it's always tough because you got fishermen that are right off the point, and nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Just takes us a little bit longer. That's okay. And again, I hope that I hope our sound quality is going to be okay. We'll do everything to edit it, try to get that wind out of there. See a lot of boat hoists still in here at Manhattan Beach, and Yeah, so this again, this is still considered Manhattan Beach, North Manhattan Beach, and you'll see home prices in here on a 50-foot lot. You know, anywhere, again, on 50 feet, you know, you'll see them anywhere from, you know, in all of Manhattan Beach, anywhere from like 2.4 to 4 million type of range, right? You know, typically maybe 30,000 a foot, 40. It's tough to get to 40,000 a foot anymore, and it's amazing because, you know, back in 2000, let's call it 2012, you know, Lakeshore was 10,000 a foot. It slowly, over the next 8-9 years, slowly grew to $20,000 a linear foot, right? COVID hits. Nobody's going to the office. Everybody's working from home. And if you're going to work from home, you're going to work from home when you're living on the lake, right? You're going to get up, have some coffee, open your laptop, sit on the patio, and answer emails and answer calls and just all the stuff. And so 2021, 22, 23, part of 24, I think it slowed down 23, end of 23. You know, certain areas were reaching, you know, averages, and this is for primo stuff, averages of $40,000 a linear foot. And, you know, there's a couple lots like over in Hayward's Bay where you get, and we'll talk about that, we just haven't gotten there yet. That's, you know, 300 feet deep, 50 foot. You know, if you calculate it by linear foot, you're well over 40,000 linear foot. So the numbers had just been astounding. But in here, this whole stretch of Manhattan Beach is a great area. You know, you come up here on Village West. You know, again, you got short to mid approaches. You know, where you're talking 15 to 20 steps. Gonna be some more condos up in this area. In Village West. So Village West now it's the only place to get gas on West Lake. Another interesting nugget is that there isn't one spot on Big Spirit Lake to get gas. There's a few on East Lake, but because the Okoboji Boat Works is gone, you can't get gas there anymore. So I know that they were trying desperately to figure out how to get a gas stock, I think, over by the Emporium, things like that, but I just don't think it made sense or they could make it work. And so, good for Village West. I guarantee that their gas sales and probably other sales have gone up, right? You get gas, you're gonna go get some beer, gonna go get some chips, gonna go get some candy, yada, 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 and good for them. Now we're up at Summerview Heights condos. Those are gorgeous condos, big condos, and gosh, what are they? Are they 2,400 square feet typically? But they, you know, you have some on the lake. I think there's a building that's off the lake, and so that's gonna change the value a little bit. But you got north and south inner lane up here. Beautiful. So low car traffic back in here on inner lane. So that's certainly a plus. Gets a little tight back there. I feel like every time I come there, there's lawn mowing trucks and lawn mowing equipment everywhere, and it's almost like it's a single lane to drive on, so it can make it fairly challenging. But again, it's low traffic, not many people going by there. So and there's, again, just some beautiful homes up in this area. And I shouldn't say number of these homes, but there's some homes here, they might be fortunate to have a off-lake lot. And that's another variable that we have to consider around the lake, is that, okay, does the lake house have a lot across the street that either has an accessory storage building or that you could build an accessory storage building on? That's huge, right? Just another variable. This is a new build, beautiful house. I think just a couple years old. Just stunning. When that thing is lit up, it is gorgeous. So now we're going to come around into an area that, you know, we call Eagle Harve Beach, Van Steenberg Estates, another desirable area. So if we were by road, we're kind of getting up there closer to Okoboji View Golf Course, right? And so we're talking, you know, medium-priced homes here. I do think, I know. I mean, the majority, not by a huge amount, but the majority of the demand is still on the east side of West Lake, somewhat close to the action. That's going to be the majority of the action. Hence, the values are typically going to be just a little bit higher there. But there's also people that love this side of the lake. That, you know, they might be coming from again from their farm in western Iowa. They might be coming from Sioux Falls. They might be coming from Sioux City, wherever might be west of here. They come in on the highway 9, come in on the 71. They get on 86, and they're at their spot. They didn't have to drive through town, right? Didn't have to drive through traffic. And so there's demand for that also. So I'm not diminishing that at all. But again, the pure economics of it say that if there's more demand for the other side of the lake, your values are typically going to be just a little bit higher. And that's a fact. It's based upon data. But they're up here in Eagle Harve, Van Steenberg Estates, there's some beautiful homes. Beautiful deep lots, and not all of them are deep lots, but we'll get up here more towards Bedell's place that, you know, that was listed for a long time, you know, 10, 12 million, whatever it was. So we're kind of getting up in that area, but these homes are just absolutely gorgeous. Love the approach, a ton of linear footage, lakeshore. You know, you're talking well over 5 million for some of those. I'd say well over. Okay. That's for some of those homes. That's a way low number, to be quite honest with you. So, irregardlessly, and yes, I intentionally say irregardlessly because I think it's funny. So yeah, I think we're up here on North Inner. So I got the sun kind of not making the video so great. Apologize for that, but again, you got some medium banks again. We're probably going to be in some more medium values, okay, which is good. Good. Medium doesn't mean anything bad. It just means that most of the homes aren't going to be valued as high as the high valued homes. Again, you disagree, we could just look at data. We can go back and look at comps and try to take as many of the variables in consideration, talk about it. I mean, if anybody lives anywhere on the lake and you appreciate this dissertation, if you will, give me a call. I mean, definitely this is our job. Our job is to understand real estate and put our clients in a really good position. But you got to have expertise. You got to have experience. You can't wing it on the lake. You just can't. And we have a lot of great competition. Our industry, for the most part, I think our industry gets along great, and we respect each other. And you know, there's some people that just don't have the experience that's probably necessary in some of those things, but you never call them out. You would never badmouth anybody in the industry. We want to support each other in our industry because it's tough. It can be a tough job. It's a demanding job. It's 24/7, 365 for some of us. But there are other good brokers and agents that do a lot of that represent their clients on the lake the right way, right? And you have to respect that, and it's good. You know, I'm an extremely low pressure. I try to give you knowledge, but I try to be low pressure. whether you're a seller or a buyer, like if you're a seller and I'm doing we're doing a seller presentation, you're going to interview 3 different agents. Like I'll tell you, like, hey, if you're interviewing 3 agents, the other 2 agents are probably really good also. And it's never any hard feelings if you choose somebody else, because it's a small market, right? I happen to think that I will offer you the best service, the best marketing, the best tech, the best support, the best office, the best brand, all of those things. That's going to give your property the best opportunity for the most exposure. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about more eyeballs in front of your property. Again, just goes back to economics 101 type deal. But I'm going to lose out to some agents, and I'm going to win some, lose some, and it just doesn't bother me. So now we're kind of getting up into Sandpiper Cove. Okay. Oh, and we just went by the old Bedell property. I should have focused on that. Sorry, but that has been sold and bought by a new family. So we get up into Sandpiper Cove. Once you get up here into the North Bay, again, the economics of it and the comps of it say, values drop a little bit. So we're going to be, in most, it's not all cases, but in most cases, it's going to be middle price range. Again, we're talking low, high, middle, or excuse me, low, middle, high. You get away from the action. It's a long ways to boat to the restaurants. For whatever reason, it is what it is. The data tells us that, and that's okay. It's still good. I mean, geez, look over. I mean, you got beachfront property here. So as I said before, I love the beachfront property. You got PMC right here, which is a great economical way to get on West Lake. They're not year round, but I don't know what there are. Let's call them that. There's 20 dwellings in there. And you buy, at least historically, you could buy them for $300,000-$400,000 and have a spot for your boat hoist. So it's awesome. And so here we are, the infamous harbor, right? And another great economic way, and it's been incredible to watch the values go up at the harbor. When as little as 10 years ago, if there was a house in the harbor priced at $600,000, that was expensive. And today, we're seeing some of the better properties sell for 1.2, 1.3, I think even 1.4 for one that had a pretty darn good view of the lake from in there. But point is that the harbor got to enjoy the appreciation just as well as a lot of the other lakeshore properties. And so up here in the North Bay, we're not gonna, on the north side, we're not going to see a lot of high banks. We'll see some medium 3/4 banks. Then we kind of come here. Now we're getting into the landings. Nice thing about the landings is that this HOA area has dock hoists for off-lake properties, so you can get some really nice values here if you want a place for your hoist in your boat, but not necessarily a view of the lake. You might be across the street, things like that. You still have an opportunity. You'll spend somewhere around that excuse me, $900,000 to $1 million, maybe even a little bit more off the lake. But again, to get that access to West Lake, and I'm talking about a nice house too, 6,000 square feet, 5 bed, 4 bath type stuff. Love the condos here at the landings as well. And there's some beautiful homes right there. I don't remember which one it was. We're real close, but there was a home in there that sold for $4 million. So don't let me try to fool you and say there are properties up here that aren't worth much. I mean, there's some outstanding properties up there. I'm just saying in general, that's just what we've seen. Okay, and that's a beautiful brick place back there. Kai's going crazy about something. I don't know if she's got flies or bees bugging her a little bit, but okay. So we get past Lanings, then we come into Triboji. A lot of you don't know much about Triboji. Triboji is another dock management area, okay? What does that mean? It means basically the same thing that it meant at Pillsbury Point, or at least similar. Or even if you live on the lakeshore, you don't own the lakeshore. But what I found is that at least the docks here, I think for the most part, if you own the lakeshore, your dock will be in front of you. But you still have to, you're still required to share the dock in most cases, if not all. I can't imagine a case where that doesn't exist. And then we got the lazy lagoon back here. So there's a number of boats in the lagoon. So if you live off the lake in Triboji, you're going to be on a excuse me. You're going to be on a tier system. So there's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So if you're tier 1, it means you have the better opportunity to get a dock space, whether that be on the lake or in the lagoon. I think most people would prefer to be on the lake. So if you're tier 1, you have a better opportunity to do that. Then tier 2 and tier 3, less opportunity. But it's surprising that so many of these folks that live in Triboji will have the opportunity for a dock space. But I'm always telling my clients, hey, call the DNR. I bet Wendy gets I wouldn't say sick of. She's awesome. She can answer any questions that you have regarding docks. Wendy Sanders, her name, and she's done an amazing job for years at the DNR. But she answers a lot of questions because of situations like this. I bet if Pillsbury Point and Dixon Beach and Triboji didn't exist, or the dock management programs didn't exist, her life would be a heck of a lot easier. But I digress. I actually have a listing just right across the street up here. We just dropped it to $998, and it's a tier 1. Has incredible views of lake. The views it has of West Lake are better than most views that lake homes have, and it's just barely across the street. So I can't quite zoom in close enough, but it's right there. So again, now we're still up here in the North Bay. Beautiful low approach sand beach. I know that there's another home on the market right in here that's got sand beach. I think it's right around just over $2 million. It's not our listing, but and it might even be pendant. I don't know. Heck, there's beaches condos. I know that there's a listing in there. I think it's 2 condos combined for maybe like $3.5 million or something, which would be pretty cool. You know, you compare that to maybe what you're paying at the dry dock, and it might seem like a bargain, right? But you know, if you're interested in that type of living, check it out. Beaches has a building behind it, as you can kind of see as it sneaks into the view. You'll get some discounts there, of course, because it's not directly on the water, but you still get a boat space, still get access. It's awesome. Yeah, so look at this. Look at the approach of all these homes. And plenty of sand beach. That's one thing I love. So if the North Bay gets dinged a little bit from a value standpoint, man, there's some really good values if you want to have a sand beach for the kids and grandkids and all that stuff. So all right, now we're coming into, we'll get to Brownell Heights and the Methodist Camp and Monarch Cove, and you see some higher banks. Now what you get over here, what you're going to get up here is the water's a little bit more shallow. It is going to be a little bit more weedy, but just not a big deal. It's not a big deal. There's lake services that'll come out and they'll take care of those weeds for you on the dock and things like that. There's some real value in here. I mean, I have this listing right there. See that beautiful white new build dock on it? I got my signs on it. That's a heck of a value. There's 50 feet, huge 3-car garage, huge driveway. easy access in and out. In fact, there's a park half a block away. We're listed at well under $3 million on that for a new build. New build. I just can't believe that thing hasn't sold yet. They're building a brand new house by it. Unfortunately, the homes were damaged by fire here a few years back, maybe just a couple years back, and they had to be tore down and rebuilt. But just absolute stunner of a home there on my listing. Somebody's going to buy that and look back 5 years down the road and say, glad I bought that. That was good. That was a good buy. But anyway, so we're here in Monarch Cove. A lot of Monarch Cove can get tight. There's a lot of off-lake homes that will have access. Like this is one community dock right there. There's another back there. A lot of the roads back here are going to be, single wide, if you will. You're not going to get two cars down at the same time. But those are on the back. Those, I would call them the back roads, or the up off of the lake a little bit more. And so typically values are going to be a little bit lower. But irregardlessly, I should say, to get new build for under $3 million, it doesn't exist anywhere else. It doesn't, unless you're going to buy a duplex, and that's fine too. But if you want single family, new build, lots of square footage, 50 foot minimum for under $3 million, that's the deal. Okay. So coming into, sorry about that. Arm's getting tired. Coming into Brownell Heights, a lot of beautiful homes up in this area too. Very mature, big trees. Again, medium bank heights, not a huge deal. Once you get closer to Pikes Point, you're going to see that bank height go down. In fact, there's another gorgeous listing next to Pikes Point. Okoboji Realty has listed. Beautiful house, has an elevator, sand beach, great price on it. I think it was like 3.5, 3.6, something like that. Another surprise to me. But again, the market dictates all, right? So we just need a little bit more demand, a little bit better interest rates. Even though I know I said earlier we're typically not affected by them, but sure feels like we're a little bit affected by them right now. Can't believe my dog didn't bark at that jet skier. A lot of nice homes. There's some low approach right there. Pikes Point State Park. What a great area to take your family. If you're not lucky enough to be on the lake, and you're looking for a beautiful day to be on the lake, have a picnic, go swim, beautiful sand beach, and tons of space and tons of area. Absolutely love it. Tom Gustafson has taken some amazing pictures of Pikes Point on some of the clearest days. And Tom Gustafson, he takes amazing pictures irregardlessly, I should say, and does an amazing job. But we got to get way out here. Pikes Point, it's shallow, and you got to get way out here to this last buoy. The water's up a little bit, which is nice. Boy, we have had a heck of a tour so far. I don't remember last time I cruised around the lake. I might be out of gas, I don't know. But look at this view. I mean, if you're up here on the north end, and you get to look at the lake all the way down to Milford. I'm always astounded to be able to see the Milford water tower and elevator from way up by, you know, Vic's Corner or you know, whatever. But then we come around Pikes Point, and we got Bay Rim townhomes. What a great community that is. Again, adding value, giving people a more affordable opportunity to get on West Lake. Love it. Kind of coming into Fair Oaks Beach here, and again, mid to high bank areas here. Unfortunately, I won't say the name, but the property up here lost its bank as well, so now they're in the process of redoing it right there. But we're talking mid to high values here for sure. Beautiful, mature, deep. You'll see some estates in here, right? I mean, and not that there aren't estates in other parts of the lake, but and same thing in Haywards Bay. Just properties that have been in the family for many, many, many years. But that's a heck of a big project that they have going on right there. I almost wish I would have waited maybe another couple weeks to get those color changes. But it's all right. It's still absolutely beautiful. We're for the long video, we're an hour and 20 minutes in. I didn't think it took this long. Like I said, I can't remember the last time I drove around the lake, especially at this speed. We typically, you know, we're those people that come out here, putz around, go to dinner, go throw an anchor, get some work done, get the laptop out, those types of things. So this is just a different experience for me, and I hope it's educational for some of you folks looking to understand the differences in the lake, right? So we're over here, now we're getting sunsets. So we're on the east side, and we're gonna see beautiful sunsets. Now don't let that fool you in the fact that it's not all great things when we talk about that, because depending on your shade level, you know, if you have some trees or shade, that's great. But if you don't have any shade, you're gonna get nuked by that sun come 4 or 5 o'clock. So shade is imperative, and you're going to see, like say along this stretch here, there's a reason that a lot of these trees are still existing. You can see all of the shade that they're providing, which is huge. It's huge. It makes it able to, you know, to sit outside that 3, 4, 5, 6, even 7 o'clock, have a beer, have a water, have a soda, whatever you're doing, and enjoy the night, right? So yeah, so we're coming into Haywards Bay here. So this whole stretch, high value, maybe medium to high value, because there's such a stretch there of homes that have huge yards, long driveways. It's just beautiful. So now we are making our way into Haywards Bay. I would say Haywards Bay is probably one of the most sought after spots on the lake. You know, I haven't really mentioned, but there's a lot of good ice fishing around the lake. You'll see a lot of fishermen in Smiths Bay, a lot in the North Bay. You'll see fishermen in Haywards Bay. So there's good fishing in Haywards Bay, a lot of good ice fishing, low approaches, half fit deep lots, nice deep lots. But I think Haywards Bay is going to be renowned for being, from a boat standpoint, still fairly close to get to the restaurants and bars, still far away for your privacy, and just a lot of family homes in Haywards Bay that's been passed down for generations. And again, I prefer this part, what I would call the northeast part of Haywards Bay, because those homes are still going to get some protection from that big northwest wind. And there's just some beauties in there. Whereas you come around to the southeast part of Haywards Bay, those are going to get hammered by the wind. So I think that the property is more valuable up here. Again, deep lots. Once you kind of get in close here, as this bay curls in, you'll get a little bit less depth to your lot, right? They might go to 120 feet versus some of these back here, and versus some of these up here that are going to give you 300 feet of depth. And so I was talking earlier about how some of these properties sold for quite a bit of money. So, there's a there's a couple lots up in here that have that 300 foot depth by 50 feet wide. That sold for well over $2 million. So you're talking over $40,000 linear foot, and all that's because of the depth. And what's also interesting, and this is just an example of making sure that you're experienced, the state just changed the law that basically said that no cities or municipalities could restrict a homeowner from basically building an accessory dwelling. I don't know if that verbiage is exactly correct, but basically what it means is that if somebody with, for example, a 300 foot lot wants to build a guest house, the cities can't do anything about it. Most of the cities had restrictions on that, but this is a recent deal. Within the last, I'll call it 6 months, that law has changed. I have clients that were affected by it in a positive way. Some beautiful new homes up in here. Got some new landscaping there. Beautiful new home's going to go there. There's a house just next to it that just sold. Beautiful new, well, I shouldn't say beautiful. There is new construction going on behind all those trees right there. That's a huge 100-foot lot on the corner. Has a tennis court and like 3 acres behind it. Just an incredible property. Yeah, these are also some really nice homes with low approaches. And there's another one of my listings on 75 feet. By far the nicest home I've ever been in, and the most upscale. And when it comes to smart home, floor to ceiling windows. Yeah, it's listed at 9.97 million, but it is an incredible property. It has a basketball court. It's something to see. Got pictures and video of that, but it's absolutely amazing. But look at these approaches, just beautiful approaches here. Love this area on Lakeshore Drive. And now we're coming into Omaha Beach, kind of an exclusive community, if you will. You will not see much turnover there, and when you do, it typically gets bought. It will typically get bought by a family member or somebody else's family member that lives there. Just a really cool exclusive area of West Lake Okoboji. Again, Omaha Beach. Values high. You're talking still today, I think if any of those properties came on the market, you're talking 40,000 a foot plus, okay? And I would consider that, one of the higher valued areas of the lake. Now we're coming into Echo Bay. Again, another beautiful mature area. We're coming into Okoboji. Well, we've been in Okoboji, but getting closer to like the airports and Spirit Park, things like that. There's the Okoboji Water Tower. Some absolutely beautiful homes and beautiful approaches here, but those approaches get pretty high, kind of like across the way in Manhattan Beach where some of those banks collapse. These banks also collapse. We'll get to that here in a minute. Values here, mid to high. The high bank will definitely affect the values, no doubt about it. A trolley is always necessary in these high bank situations, but yeah, values, when you have 70 some steps to the bank, values, your linear lakeshore valuation will go down, not dramatically, but it will go down. I love this house. That house was designed to make it look like a ship crashed into the shore, so you're seeing the rear end of the ship. Super, super cool. A lot of people didn't know that. But you'll see some homes here that independently own a lot of lakeshore, like that one and that one. And I think that property there was just bought for $6.5 million. Okay, but it's got all the privacy in the world, and it's what they wanted. So then there's the Echo Bay Association. So you can buy a house off lake in Echo Bay and have possible access to the lake. So that's another area around the lake where that offers access. We've talked about a couple of them already. Here's a lakeshore bank that just had the remediation done. In fact, I think they finished it last week. I tell you what, these companies around the lake, Shore Team 6 with Jake Schrollman, Midwest Industries, Matt Hansen, Blue Water Prairie. I'm going to forget names, and that's okay. But I tell you what, those guys, Matt Thielen, Olson Landscaping, those guys have done an amazing job. And I apologize, I'm not mentioning everybody, but the amount of remediation that's occurred in 14 months is unfathomable. I mean, most of these banks had to be repaired, including mine, which is right there. But they've done a just absolutely incredible job. Mark Kramer, that's another one. I forgot his name. I did forget his name, just forgot to mention. But anyway, there's a lot more, but props to them. And they're not doing it for free, so they deserve to make some money too. But it's they've done a great job. So again, we're still at medium to high values. We're just coming around Atwell Point. Guys, we're almost done with the tour. I doubt most of you probably made it this long. We'll certainly cut this up into a bunch of shorts, but so again, we're just coming out of Echo Bay. I love this house on the point here. But again, these homes will get hammered by that northwest wind. So high bank and northwest wind is going to affect your property value for sure. Once we come around Atwell, then we get a little protection. A lot of Dixon Beach down here is going to get some protection from that big northwest wind. They're not getting necessarily hit by a big south wind, so this is a very desirable spot as well. And so, for those of you that have been coming to Boji for a long time or own a place in Boji, this is where the inn used to be. Okay. A beautiful home went up. There's some land just to the north of it that I don't know will ever be developed. There's some land just to the south of it that is going to be developed. But Dixon Beach is a highly sought after area. You see some people walking along the sidewalk there. So you got this sidewalk that goes all the way through the beach and down towards where the airport is for in Okoboji. All right. This is actually what a few people know. I mean, it's another dock management area. All right, but it's I think it's managed by the city, and so it's a little different setup. I don't know the exact setup there. I just know that there's not certain, but the Dixon Beach area, about half of this, you know, there's certain regulations that the city has as far as what they can do with their docks and whatnot. But again, if I had any clients that were making any inquiries on these homes, I'd say call the city, call the DNR, make sure you got your butt covered, right? But I mean, look at the beach again. Love the beach area. There's actually a public access up here that's really nice for the general public to use. Actually, more boats out here than I anticipated. I think people are really trying to come out and enjoy the day. It's a beautiful new building there. I think that sold for about $3.6 million on 50 feet. Okay, that sold just a couple years ago when the market was red hot. I have a listing right up here on 76 feet. New built in 2019. 76 feet, priced at $3.2 million. Good activity on that already. So then we have the whole stretch of Lakeshore Drive, basement from Spear Park down to Fort Dodge Point. High value. You know, there's a property in here, I think that was on 50 feet. You know, sold for well over 2.2 million. Sold for over 2 million. I don't know if it's 2.2. But just a great area of the lake. And why? Again, we're getting closer to the activity. We're in Okoboji. You know, people like going for walks up and down Lakeshore Drive, going for bike rides up and down Lakeshore Drive. Again, you're going to see a lot of homes in here that have you know, passed over generationally, or passed along generationally, however you want to say it. Just again, and then incredible views, right? I mean, you got the whole main part of West Lake. You can see all the way south. Just absolutely gorgeous views. So we're coming up on Fort Dodge Point. Again, some high banks in here, right? So medium to high banks, you know, high value. Yeah, let's call it medium to high value, depending on how high your bank is. And in some of these areas, there's not a ton of depth, but it's pretty decent depth of the lot. Excuse me, the depth of the water, and that's the other thing about Dixon Beach and Echo Bay is that at the end of your docks, you have good deep water. And some people call that big water. They want big water versus having, you know, the weeds that go to the top and things like that. So that's another thing about Echo Bay, Dixon Beach that people really like is just good quality water. You know, not as many weeds, great fishing, just all the things. So we're back down. There's the amusement park and the water tower. Got Fort Dodge Point. Got Pillsbury Point. A lot of fishermen today. take a gander that whole lake again. And we're going to end up at coming around into Des Moines Beach, and then just past Givens Point where the Okoboji Boat Works was. One of my favorite areas of the lake. I have a lot of favorite areas of the lake, but repeatedly my wife and I would talk about where do we want to be on West Lake, like ultimately where do we want to be. We said we either want to be on Sunset Beach or on Des Moines Beach. Des Moines Beach, and so there's some variables to consider there, right? This is Des Moines Beach, and we absolutely love this location in Okoboji on Lakeshore Drive. Watch the fireworks, you know, the quaintness of watching all of the lights at Arnold's Park, you know, on the Ferris wheel and the stage and all of those things at night. There's so much to love about that, right? And I think that's why a lot of people live on Des Moines Beach, because they have those views. Like, that was big to us, but it also didn't get us within immediate walking view of the park. And so at some point you can't have it all. And so we had an opportunity that came up on Sunset Beach and decided to build there. But you know, we've seen some properties come up here on Des Moines Beach, which has, again, low to medium and a couple high banks. I mean, it varies a little bit in there, but not extremely deep lots, but just a good spot. And again, we're protected from that big northwest wind. And if you're here year round, that's a big deal. If you're not here year round, that's not a big deal to you. But again, it's one of those variables that you need to appreciate and consider, because you'll get hit here a little bit more on the south, right? But some beautiful new homes have been built here. You know, you're still talking almost $40,000 a foot, if not more. So this is high value, definite high value. Remember over there, you know, we were talking about 40-foot lots that when we started. You know, here you're looking at more 50-footers. I think they sprinkle in a few 60-footers in there. Okay. There's another concrete patio that got approved, which is amazing to me, but it did. There were some really good buys on Des Moines Beach pre-COVID. Really good buys. I'm talking, I think there's one up here that has zero entry to the zero approach, zero entry. I think it sold for $670,000, 50 feet. Just one of the best buys on the lake that I remember. But that was before the boom, right? Before the boom. So we're back to the dry dock, and we're back to where east meets west. And I'm sure most of you, getting a little windier. Most of you that are watching this remember the Okoboji Boat Works. Heck, my mother worked at Okoboji Boat Works for years as a service manager, and I spent my days as a kid right in this area. Between Mile Marine and Okoboji Boats, I'd be down here bothering my mom, bothering all the help as a young punk kid, just trying to catch some crappies and bluegills on the sailboat dock and the cruiser dock, and then probably trespassing on everybody's private dock as this young kid. Just enjoying Okoboji, being a kid. And that's I have such fond memories of this area. So it was definitely a sad day, you know, watching Okoboji boats get demoed. But it also removed a lot of the commercialization It's made this area of the lake look, obviously more residential and things like that, but it's just not how I remember it. Some people are going to love it. Some people are going to miss Okoboji boats. And as I always say, when it comes to lake living, to each their own. So those are going to be some absolutely beautiful lots. Obviously, not the most optimal place, to be on West Lake, but that's why they're at a that's why some of these properties are selling at a discount, right? There's a lot of boat traffic here, and obviously you're looking at the highway and all the lake traffic and things like that. So there's going to be some bargains here if somebody's looking to buy one of those lots or buy one of these homes up here. I think most of them are sold already. Michael had those listed, did a good job with them. But here we are. We're back to where we started. There's dry dock. If you did watch the long version here, I hope you appreciate it. Probably a long, boring movie, but I hope that you learned something along the way. And I hope that if you have questions, you want to learn more, hope I'll be your guy that you give a call. 712-320-9442. Aaron at bojihomes.com. Would love to help each and every one of you. Have a great rest of the day.